Yes, as Christian artists, we are a family, and I thought it was an excellent closing statement of Ria. And that's what we really became through the years, because our experience here makes us family. And in our daily lives, we all struggle an awful lot with the hardship of life. With my background in the trade unions and all the links with politics, I collected a lot of data over, I do that always all the years, but especially new data came on my desk over the last 3 years, and that is the reason we have the topic as it is today. And I will explain you as simple as possible what is happening in our world. I start here. Normally you have your formal higher education, that is 4 till 5 years, yeah? College, university. It is only 30 years ago that you studied in the profession, and here you are 65, and you kept working in that profession. Today, it is 67, right? Even for Greece now. I'm sorry, Antonis. And education and the reality of work, they matched. Yeah? But due to many situations, the flexibilization of our society, let's say, this is male, that's female. Yeah? The figure got changed. When you do a study, doesn't matter now which one, you end up here at the top today, where most people don't end up in a working situation for which you started to study. With females, it is even less. Yeah? So this is about 40% today. It is about 30% today. Per nation, it can differ a little bit. It's an average. So here are people they went into something else. You're still with me? Yeah? You studied to be a lawyer and you end up as a teacher. Yeah? Or you study to be a teacher and you end up for the national radio. You know, things like that. Now, when people finish the studies today, for a while, people are unemployed. Yeah? Depending on the study and depending on the nation, that can take 6 months till a year. In the southern nations like Italy, Spain, Greece, Romania, it's much worse. But this is the average. If you do a good study, you will have a chance on work. It's called youth employment, youth unemployment. Yeah, you're still with me? And then what is very funny, now, when you are 50 plus, suddenly, when you work in the companies, they lay you off. There is a new sector of unemployment for the 50 plus people. And to get them at work is maybe much more difficult than when you are young and just have finished your study. Now, so far so good. And now we started to ask, how does it look like in our world, in the world of the arts? And I take again a jump of 5 years, and again a jump here of 10 years. And I asked our National Central Bureau of Statistics to give me the data on the world of arts and culture. And then the following happened. They said, when people have finished the conservatorium, art school, dance academy, academy of art, design academy, God knows whatever it is, 50% after 5 years, and here even 60% for women, has left the building of arts and culture. That's a huge loss of what we call cultural capital. That's you, that's me. We are cultural capital, yeah? To say it in the known political words. And then they gave me the figures after 10 years. 6%, and for women, 4% are still active in the world of arts and culture. Dit is the normal line. This is what it should be. And this is what we lose. And then I asked the figures for retirement, and they said more or less, when they retire, here you have 5%, and you have here 4% left. That means when people finish their study at any form of art school, the chance that they will find work finally is almost zero. Are you with me? So one of the questions, and what are you doing here? Sometimes when I'm at the conservatorium and I speak to students, I say to them, well, you're almost done with your 4 or 5 years, and you think you're a little genius. And when you leave the building with your diploma, nobody out there is waiting for you. Absolutely nobody. And then they say, but why I'm studying here? And then I say to them, I don't know, you choose that. So, this here is all what we lose. And that is an immense loss. Where do those people go? Unemployment. The unemployment rate under artists, cultural workers in Europe is the highest of anything. Much and much more as when you work in the steel industry or shipping or whatever. Well, knowing the facts is not enough. Then we started to talk with the people who belong to this. Because why are they still there? And they make it more or less. I mean, income in this sector is always minimum or under minimum, but at least they survive. And then there came out that research of a few factors. And let's say, of course, there is a big external factor on budget cuts all across Europe. So when 10 years ago, let's say in the Netherlands, the national budget for culture was 1.8% of the national budget. Today, it is under 0.5%. That means that at the same time, a couple of thousand people are now unemployed because of that. Yeah? And half part of the music schools will be closed, the local music schools, next year. Yeah? Can you see the picture? So why are we here surviving this? And here is interesting. And this has to come to the forefront in our discussions the next days. And more or less we have the following factors. One is motivation. And motivation is not a constant factor. You get motivated. You have to find fountains of energy in your life. If you can get motivated, other people call it energy, you will have an incredible problem to be an artist. So motivation is a very interesting factor. It's a magic factor. Yeah? The second factor we found is perseverance. It is even so that not the most gifted persons will make it, but the kids here with most perseverance. It's interesting. Those are the survivors. And one of the things, let's say the artist who will perform and show the work during these days, they are on the road longer as 10 years. It's easy to get a lot of young people as well here to perform, but it's no help. We want to see people performing and showing whatever they do because they have passed the magic border of 10 years active service. So when you have passed that, you get more or less in this stream, and then when you will talk to them, they can tell stories about motivation, they can tell you stories about perseverance. Now, the third one is quality. Unless you keep working on quality, and in other words, the political word, educational word is lifelong learning, there is no quality. You can be the best piano player, ready for the big stages around the world when you're here, but if you don't keep playing and studying and working hard with at least 8 hours a day, you are lost. You will disappear. You will not make it. So it's the willingness for lifelong learning, and that's one of the things we're going to discuss in the next days. How can you combine this with perseverance and motivation? There is a fourth factor. We call that added value. As example, we had tonight Torsten performing, and he's an incredible cello player. You agree with me? Yes. Yeah. Now, if you have looked at his performance, it is absolutely not the average cello performance you used to see at concert stages and whatever. Now, keep in mind that every year, from all the conservatoria in Europe, you have about 800 till 1,000 cello players getting the graduation. Is the work for them? No. Because you can replace them all by themselves. So then who to select? Unless people study and develop an added value. Torsten Harder has developed an added value. The way he works with cello is very different from many cello players I know. That means, even with all the difficulties of life, because he is that different, people may invite him for classes, for workshops, for concerts. He has an added value. Plus the other aspects you need to develop. Now, if you would look closely, it looks like lungs. Huh? Lungs. Arts are the lungs of society. I strongly believe that. And unless we will get the lungs pumping and breathing again, the future of our society in Europe looks very bad. we desperate need for the development of our world artists. Yeah? We have seen some great examples where artists did some social projects, and almost everyone that will perform in the evenings during these 3 days, they all are involved somewhere in things of our world that has real meaning. Now, those are the 4 magic factors, to my opinion. What I, from all my study, could distillate out all the thick books and figures and statistics. And this is what we can learn from the people who are here. And for the next 2 days, we will try to develop models of learning that will put this in practice for you. A little example. Let's say in my nation, the Netherlands, we have about 9,000 Protestant and Catholic churches. I don't count the evangelical, Pentecostal, Baptist and all of that stuff. So, the old churches. Those churches, when they have the liturgy on Sunday, they use an organ player, right? Your nation probably too. Now, what came out of the statistic, that the number of people studying organ here, because of all the problems, has got so far down that we can say exactly, based on the hard figures, that in 15 years from now, all those churches will have immense difficulty to find a good organ player. They are not there anymore. Because the one they are there are 50 plus. In 50 years they will retire. And then what? Now you say, I have an evangelical background. I'm a Pentecostal, I'm Baptist, or Free Evangelical, or God knows how you call it. And we don't use an organ, we have a band. Well, congratulations. But still, if you work with a band, you need, to my opinion, a good bass player, a good guitarist, a good keyboard player, and a good drum set, right? You agree with me? Should be at least good. Yeah? Whenever you like the songs or not, but they should be good, right? Now, with the decline of local music schools, that is here under, it's in the hobby world. You are a parent and your kid has a talent, you want your kid to have a good education. Then even by budget cuts, the local music schools disappear. You can count exactly what's going to happen. That means that in about 25 years from now, most evangelical churches will have difficulty to find a good guitarist, a good bass player, a good keyboard player. Yeah? This is the result of the figure, unless you do something about that. That means private teacher, so this is one of the possibilities, private lessons. And there are many more other things you can do. But when I look into the future, and statistics are a great help to see that, I'm not so optimistic. Unless we make a change. And I believe the change starts here, with understanding the diagram, and then with all the lectures and discussions we're going to happen tomorrow, because change is possible. But then we need to do something. And that brings me to, you know, every day has a special value, a special Bible verse. And then Desiree only said the beginning, but the end of the Bible verse is interesting. And the things you have heard me say in the presence of many witnesses, that's you, entrust that to reliable men who will also be qualified to teach others. This was Paul's secret, and that is the reason of the growth of the church in the first century. I believe you are reliable men, that are at least the ones that perform here and teach here, the men and women. And you, as younger people, you are the next reliable generation on which we will have to build the future. You are the future of Christian artists. You agree with me? Amen.